Let's watch this video from Rich Eisen show where Landon Donovan talks about why the USMNT is not legit contenders for the world stage. I've done plenty of freaking conversations on my sport channel about this particular freaking topic. So basically just I'm already freaking used to, already had the conversation of. So we'll listen to Landon's opinion on it, and then I'll give my take here and there. I should have freaking toupee, dude. So it's been 24 years, and the men's team has not done better than what they did 24 years ago. Now, for a lot of people, they make the assumption that the reason why the U.S. soccer team sucks is because Americans don't care about freaking soccer, which actually is not correct. Americans love freaking soccer. Whether you want to believe it or not, Americans love freaking soccer. There's a reason why the NWSL does very, very good numbers for its size and for it being what it is. Also, a lot of MLS teams like Inter Miami and Atlanta, for example, and the New York teams and the California teams also tend to have very good attendances. And when they do play friendlies in America for other teams, like Barcelona played at the Big House in Michigan, sold out, most highest attended freaking sport event in the history of a sport. It was like 109,000. It happened again when Man United plays. People want to watch soccer, but they need to care about it. When I say care about it, they need to have stars. Part of why basketball is what it is when it comes to NBA is their star power. People want to see LeBron. People want to see Steph. People want to see SGA. People want to see, Jokic. People want to see Wemby. People want to see stars. The MLS lacks star power until they start bringing over people like Messi and Son. When it comes to the men's national team, there is no stars. You can say Pulisic, he's not a star. He's not a household name. Most people don't know in America, don't know who Pulisic is. They don't care. Why they don't care? Because they don't win. America is a country of bandwagons. People want to watch sports when teams are winning. This team doesn't win. Since it doesn't win, there's no star power. And then they go, well, the reason why there's no star power is because Americans don't want to play it. Americans want to play soccer. The issue is it's an expensive sport. This is a common conversation. This conversation that the people who play the sport have said. A lot of time Ibrahimovic has said if he was to play his kids into soccer in America, he wouldn't do it because it just costs too much. And he's rich. And he's like, I would not put my freaking kids into soccer programs in America because it costs too much. Playing soccer at a youth level is a rich person's thing. You gotta have rich parents for that. So it's massively expensive. Take for someone who's played sports growing up, and what it cost me to play football? Nothing. All I needed when it came to playing football, I had to buy my own jog strap, buy my own cleats, and that's pretty much it. It's the school provided everything else: helmet, your clothing, your pads, all that kind of stuff. The school got you. Obviously, if you want to have gloves, you buy those yourself too. But that's it. There was no payment to play, middle school football or high school football or anything like that. You just played, Whereas with soccer, you got to put a lot of money into, if you want to get good at it and you want to actually play it seriously, you have to freaking put a lot of money into it. Compared to the rest of the world, you can be dirt poor and play football, soccer. You can't be dirt poor and play football in America. You play American football if you're dirt poor. That's why when it comes to American sports like football and basketball, even baseball to an extent, the best players come from impoverished cities, not from rich locations, because you don't need to be rich to play American football or basketball. You just need a hoop and a ball, you're good. You need a field and a freaking ball, and you're good. And that's what all it took. With soccer, it's not like that. With soccer, it's you got to do so much extra stuff. So it gatekeeps people who don't have money. And again, the most talented people in athletics come from cities that don't have a lot of money. So the best talent aren't going to the U.S. national team. They're going to the NBA because if I'm 6 foot freaking 7 and I know how to freaking hit a three and run the floor, and it costs me nothing to do it, wouldn't I much rather freaking go do that than spend thousands of dollars to play soccer? So in the United States, the sport has a issue of you are not the first, second, third, or fourth option in sports. When it comes to America, everyone wants to be an NFL player. If you're not good enough for that, you try basketball. Not good enough for that, you try baseball. Not good enough for that, you try hockey. Not good enough for that, you try MMA. Not good enough in that, you become a pro wrestler. You'll try other sports before you get to soccer. Especially because it's not really viewed as being like the cool thing to play. Meanwhile, if you go to like Spain, top of the list. You want to play for Real Madrid, you want to play for Barcelona. I'm doing all this yapping chat the entire time. Y'all can't even freaking see the freaking video. Apologies. I apologize, chat. I apologize. That is a L on my part. Landon,
what do you think of the current state of affairs? Because I just also remember back in 2002, and every single time when men's World Cup soccer comes around, we're all wondering, well, when's it going to catch fire to the point where we're competing at the top level with everybody else at this part of the sport? Where do you feel we're at right
We're going to find out a lot this summer. But I was just talking to someone. I mean, that 2002, it's funny you bring up that memory. That's the furthest the men have ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that we would have gotten further.
That would have been it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be linear necessarily, but at some point we would have gotten back there.
Yes.
We have won. Someone told me this the other day. I didn't realize this. In the men's side, we have won one knockout game, meaning get out of your group, knockout game in our history. And that was against Mexico in 2002.
Round of 16.
How we haven't done that since, that really hit me when they said that. That's pretty alarming. And
I will say this too, Mr. Donovan. We might have had a good chance during that time. You freaking have left the team. Now, you took a sabbatical for mental reasons, and mental health's important. But around that time was pretty much like the golden era of the U.S. men's team. And the team needed Donovan because he was one of the best players. Him, Dempsey, they were one of the best players. This is the prime of the golden era with Howard and Chandler, like all those guys, Bradley, Marcus Beasley. But Donovan said deuces. That's what it's kind of a little bit bad, but between him and some of the other players.
Without getting too into the weeds, really what it comes down to is we're not developing players like the rest of the world do.
Why is that? I mean, there's well, I mean, there's colleges, right? I mean, and just in this regard, the only reason why I bring that up first is that, colleges and college athletics and universities are the feeder system for most Olympic sports, right? And that's one of the concerns you have in the world of NIL and people moving around and portals and what have you, and trying to keep up with that Olympic sports might get the first axe for an athletic department, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mentioned that first, and obviously there's youth organizations and things of that nature, but I'll give you the floor on the rest.
No, that's right. And in soccer, it's different because that age group is actually where we do lose a lot of players. They go into from 17, 18, 19, 20.
Right.
Our college system isn't competitive enough to feed into professional soccer. So basically, if you're 16, 17, you haven't made it, you're not on an MLS roster or a first team roster, you kind of fall into this abyss. But the bigger problem is our youth soccer in this country is a disaster. And so you have all these youth clubs. I don't know if kids ever played, but or youth sports.
Yes.
Charge you crazy fees. It's all about winning. The kids get left behind because the clubs want to make money, the coaches want to make money, they want to win, and the kids don't develop. And now we're seeing sort of the fruits of that, sadly.
Well, and then
meanwhile, to give you like the women's side of things, because your boy watches women's sports, the women's team doesn't have the same issue because the U.S. team was already successful damn near out the gate. When you have that success, again, it goes back to what I said before about American Life winners. People who are grown up watching Mia Hamm, they want to be the next Mia Hamm. So they're all getting in. Like it's like before when it comes to basketball. American kids grow up wanting to be like Mike, not want to be like Landon Donovan. They want to be the next LeBron, the next Curry, the next Tom Brady. That's what they want to be when it comes to men. They don't want to be the next Tim Howard. Because of girls, though, they do want to be the next Alex Morgan. They do want to be the next Christian Press. They do want to be the next Rapinoe. They do want to be the next Hope Solo. They do want to be these larger than life players, even because like other countries, for example, one of the best players in women's soccer right now is Alessia Russo. Russo went to college in America. She's English. She went to college at North Carolina, and she grew up being a fan of Mia Hamm. So that's part of like a lot of people's like even with the men's side, a lot of people who play the sport because they watch Dino, they watch Messi, they watch Ronaldo, they watch Cristiano Ronaldo, they watch Pele, they watch whoever. It doesn't happen for the men's side because they don't see stars. They see average. On the women's side of things, yes, it still has that same payment issue, but they're okay with that, because a lot of them come from money. And that also makes the talent gap a little bit more narrow, so that tunnel of success is just it keeps going, because there's not a lot of other places for those girls to go. Whereas with the men's side, if you don't have that money, or you just don't care to play soccer, you're like, I can go play something else, because again, it comes like body types and height too. If you are a very, very, very tall woman or girl in high school, chances are you will more than likely try to play basketball. You try to get to WNBA, you try to play maybe even college hockey. You do these other things first because you have the size for it. Whereas like if you're smaller, you're like, all right, I think I'm gonna stick to like freaking soccer because I'm a smaller person. Even when it comes to like comparing those two things between basketball and soccer, one of the best goalies that the USA has used to play college basketball, but she changed over to soccer, be a goalie. So, the women's side has an easier launching pad for success than the men's do because there's not a lot of competition. It's either play soccer or you play WNBA, right? And, now there's like hockey, that's like, that's becoming a bigger thing. And also, we're now getting a pro women's baseball team. So you're starting to see like that become a thing. But for the most part, women only had like just one path to go. If they were like tall enough, they go to the WNBA. If they were short enough, they weren't tall enough, then it's just that one path of playing soccer. Men have football, soccer, baseball, basketball, wrestling, MMA, boxing. There's just so many more options to go into, and you're going to prioritize the big ones that pay the most and then work your way down. And when you think about payment, you're thinking about the national level. NFL pays more than MLS. You're not giving Brady's contract to a bench player or the Columbus Crew, right? So if you're a young boy or teenager, you're thinking, I want that Brady contract. I want that Max contract in NBA. That's what you're thinking of.
Going around the rest of the world, as I've been fortunate to do for the NFL, I remember the first game ever in Munich for the NFL that the Seahawks trained at the Bayern Munich facility, and the Bucks trained at the Bayern Munich youth facility. And in many ways, the youth facility was nicer.
That's right.
And I'm like looking around, I'm like, wait a minute, this is to get kids, up to speed.
That's right.
To play.
You know what's interesting? So I played in Germany when I was 17. The guy who coached our under 16 team was like 60 years old and had been doing it for 25 years. He wasn't trying to be the first team coach. Like he was one of their best coaches, and they wanted him with the 16-year-olds, not with the pros. They wanted those kids developing and getting better.
Right.
And we do it opposite here. The worst coaches are coaching our 8 and 9-year-olds, and they're not learning anything, and they're not loving the game. So it's just totally backwards.
Well, frequently it's also a parent just trying to,
True,
get out there and coach with their kids.
That's
and
right.
Be
And it's not their fault.
No.
And that's okay. But that's not help. I mean, to be honest, that would be better than what you have at most clubs.
And ironically, comes this conversation about coaching. The UK, England has an issue with their coaching, where they're trying to figure out how can they breed better homegrown coaching in England, because a lot of the best coaches are from other countries in the Premier League instead of being from England. They're like, what can we do to make coaching better, for English people who are trying to get into coaching, so you don't have to go out and hire people from La Liga or the Bundesliga to be coaches in the Premier League.
Because at least the kids would want to have fun, and they would be touching the ball and doing it versus trying to play nice soccer and do what professionals do. That's not what you need at 8 years old. You need to just touch a soccer ball and have fun.
So this is what would you do if you could wave a wand?
Well, I'm going to.
Okay.
This is my next path in life.
If it's just to wave a wand.
Not to wave a wand.
Or to do something about this.
No, yeah, I'm not a magician.
Very good.
No, but this is my next passion in life. I want to help fix this. I want to give the game back to kids. Too many kids just lose the game through the parents and the coaches, and it's a mess.
Right. And then, of course, we also need parks, places, open
access.
spaces.
That's right.
Because that's the beauty of the sport is give us an open space.
And a ball.
Yeah. And we can you can create a goal out of just, sticks on the ground. I understand that.
Yeah, no, it's true. But Rich,
but
until I was 15, this is a crazy stat. I never once trained had organized practices more than twice a week. And most weeks it was once a week. Until I was 15, I had one organized training session a week. Now kids have 3, 4, 5. I played in 3 World Cups.
Right.
I was just outside kicking the ball all day. That's all I did. I was developing myself.
Yeah, a lot of that was just, the usual stuff. Just the usual. But in the comment section, you see exactly what I'm mentioning. They will never break through the ceiling until pay-to-play is eliminated. Soccer is a rich person sport in the U.S. and a poor person sport in the rest of the world. That's the major reason we suck at it. And it is.